Day over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250 plus markets across the United States of America, from New York to LA and every place in between. Check your local AM FM dial, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. By the way, the Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Peloton. Learn more about the Peloton bike at onepeloton.com or visit your local showroom. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Lots of stuff to get into today. Week 2 of the NFL playoff weekend, 2019, based off of the 2018 season. Is scheduled to take place this weekend. 4 games that we'll be paying attention to, obviously, because the final 8, that's what it's down to. The New England Patriots will host the Los Angeles Chargers. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs will be hosting the Indianapolis Colts. New Orleans will be hosting Philadelphia, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, on Sunday and Saturday night in Los Angeles, California. A game that I will attend. To all you Cowboy fans out there that are looking forward to getting on everybody's last damn nerve, the Dallas Cowboys will visit the Los Angeles Rams at the LA Coliseum. I can't wait for that. I will be there. I'll be in attendance. Obviously, we've got those games to talk about. Obviously, we saw Kyle Kuzma drop 41 for the Los Angeles Lakers last night in 3 quarters, mind you. And the Los Angeles Lakers win over the Detroit Pistons. That's something to talk about because I got news for you, Laker fans. With that win last night, I have very, very bad news for you. I have very, very bad news for you Laker fans out there. And it's directly based off of the explosion from Kyle Kuzma last night. I'll explain what I'm talking about in just a few minutes. But before I go into any of that, the first order of business that I feel obligated to address is the New York Jets have a new head coach. His name is Adam Gase. Congratulations to all of you out there who are so excited. My response to that would be, first of all, Adam Gase, congratulations. I don't wish unemployment on anybody. I don't wish for anybody to be unemployed. And not collecting a paycheck to help take care of their families and pay their bills and all of that other stuff. But as we sit here and we're talking about football, just tell me something. What the hell is there to be excited about? I challenge anybody to tell me that. I challenge anybody out there in the National Football League to tell me, why should Jets fans be excited? You know, I got a brother in L.A., high school buddy. His name is Jeff Brown. Like a brother to me. I often tease him because my godchildren, Nicholas and Nicole, 2 of the most wonderful children in the world, because him and his wife Nina have done such a phenomenal job as parents. I love those kids. I love them with all my heart. And I look at Jeff often and I say, how could you do this to them? How could you have your kids so loyal, raising them to be so loyal? His 2 favorite teams, the Mets in baseball and the Jets in football. How could you do that to a child? Outside of that, Jeff Brown is the most perfect father in the world. But how in God's name could you have my godchildren as Mets and Jets fans? I mean, you're raising them to be losers. Now, I say that to say this. I'm trying to be nice here because I genuinely like Mike McCagnon. And I'm going to miss Todd Bowles. I'm not blaming the history that is the New York Jets on them. They've contributed to it lately, no doubt, because you are what your record says you are. But ultimately, the history, the moribund history of the New York Jets as a franchise, I think has contaminated everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never met the man. But Manish Mehta of the New York Daily News, I think does outstanding work. I would encourage everybody to read him. I think he does an outstanding job for the New York Daily News. I'm going to tell you right now, yesterday, Manish Mehta was contaminated. There's like this plague going on around New York City, evidently, where some people have been touched and contaminated by gangrene. Who doesn't deserve the nickname gangrene? Because there is nothing about them that has been gang-like. mean, think about it for a second, Jonathan. Look at me, my producer, Jonathan Winter, when I'm talking to you. Look at me, Nuno. Look at me, Kat. Do you understand that even though to some people it might come with a negative connotation, do you know what a gang implies? A gang implies togetherness, unity, but also not for the most, dare I say, favorable or pleasant causes. And they actually strike fear in people. When have the New York Jets struck fear in anybody else in recent memory? When has that happened? When? When has it happened? Stop calling them gangrene. It's an insult to gangs. It's an insult. They strike fear in people. They're formidable. You have a reason to be a bit reticent and have trepidation and apprehension about a gang. Stop calling them gangrene. What have they done? What have they done? I mean, I'm sitting here today, and it's Adam Gase as the new head coach for the New York Jets, and I'm sorry, I'm just not moved. I understand why he wears his hat so low, hiding his damn eyes. You know why? Because maybe you might not know who the hell he is. Because what has he done? Now, I am not saying that the man can't coach. He did coach the Dolphins to playoffs in his first season. They did go to 10-6. Now, they regressed and went 6-10 the following year. And then this past year, what were they, 7-9? This guy is supposed to be, John, correct me if I'm wrong, some quarterback whisperer and some innovative offensive mind. The last 2 years in Miami, they ranked 28th and 26th respectively in 17 and 18 in points, 25 and 31 in yards. Now, lo and behold, you listen to Adam Gase, and you know what he's saying, right? What you looking at me for? It's about injuries. It's about injuries. That's all it's about. It's about injuries. That's what he's saying. Frank Gore got injured. Albert Wilson got injured. Hakeem Grant got injured. Josh Sitton got injured. A.J. Derby got injured. I get it. Ryan Tannehill wasn't healthy the entire season. I get it. Adam Gase even made a case for himself, pointing out how they were 3-0 until the injuries happened. Last time I checked, injuries were a part of football. Last time I checked, it wasn't an excuse for anybody else. So I don't want to come across, and I want to be careful here, because I'm not trying to come across by saying Adam Gase can't coach. Adam Gase doesn't deserve a job. I'm trying to say it's New York. It's the Jets. New Yorkers have been starving for something to be hopeful about and enthused about for quite some time. When Rex Ryan first arrived on the scene, it was back-to-back AFC Championship games. When Bill Parcells arrived on the scene, it was a trip to the AFC Championship game. Outside of that, Herm Edwards took you to the playoffs a couple of times. But you knew they weren't going to do anything. If Vernie Testaverde doesn't go down, forcing my man Keyshawn Johnson to slam his hands on a podium, damn it, after telling the world he wanted the damn ball because he was looking forward to Testaverde getting him the ball, and then suddenly he gets hurt and the season's a wash and Super Bowl aspirations go down the drain. I mean, last time I checked, injuries are always a part of it. So what you do is you have a guy here that you have now brought in who has said, look, if it wasn't for injuries, I'd have been fine. The problem is injuries happen every week in the NFL. So if that's what he's saying, what hope is there? That the Jets go get on the field and suddenly they ain't gonna have any injuries? This is the reason that New York Jets fans should be excited. Really? Really? I mean, this is unbelievable. All of this stuff. And I mean, the Jets just, Mike McCarthy could go someplace and, we didn't want him and we really wanted this dude Kingsbury. All right? The Bachelor. That's what I'm going to call him for now. The Bachelor. By the way, as an aside, Mr. Kingsbury, that woman that you're dating, I think she works at Fox, Holly Saunders. Way to go, bro. I can't knock you for that. I mean, is that the kind of level of productivity you planning on bringing to the Arizona Cardinals? Y'all might win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Way to go. But I digress. My point is, he's a football coach. There is no reason to be excited about one single hire that took place in the last 24 hours. I mean, Bruce Arians, I'm not counting him. Vic Fangio, I'm not counting him. To me, those dudes are qualified and they deserve the opportunities that they got. Got questions about Gase. Who the hell was kicking down anybody's door to chase him? And the Jets are grabbing him like, oh my God, there's no tomorrow. We got to get him now. We can't lose him. Really? Really? Why? Is there something about Miami that should have moved us that we have seen that was so riveting that we have to get him? Adam Gase, he has to be gotten. Really? We can't miss out on him. Really? Did we see Ryan Tannehill developing anything in his tenure? Isn't he the guy that decided that Jay Cutler could do some things for them? Wasn't that Adam Gase that did that? A matter of fact, that's how he got the Miami job. Because he had Jay Cutler in Chicago, and supposedly he did such a good job with Jay Cutler. And when did that happen? Jay Cutler is an athlete. He has a rifle of an arm. But he never looked like he gave a damn. He never looked like he even wanted to be there. Speak to some of his teammates. He's no leader. No leader. But Adam Gase got rave reviews. Why? Because he worked with Jay Cutler and it was productive. And this guy Kingsbury, same thing. Under 500. Losing record at Texas Tech. Goes to USC as an offensive coordinator. And before he had a chance to pass gas or go to Roscoe's for chicken and waffles, this dude is a National Football League head coach. When are y'all going to look at yourselves? When are you going to look at yourselves? I can literally make an argument right here, right now, John. Right here on national television and national radio. Kingsbury got the job because he's a good-looking dude. And they thought he's camera friendly. I can literally make that argument. There is no justification for him to be a head coach in the National Football League. And I'm sorry if that comes across as too negative to Kingsbury because I'm not rooting against him. And it ain't his fault. So many people would have taken the opportunity that he has taken. I understand. It's not his fault. But I'm saying, where's the criteria? Where is the criteria? What did he do to be a head coach? Because obviously the hiring of Kingsbury made it easier for the Jets to hire Adam Gase. Adam Gase has been a coordinator in the NFL. He's been an assistant coach in the NFL. He's worked his way up through the ranks in the NFL. He was an NFL head coach in Miami, albeit unproductive over the last 2 years, in his estimation, primarily due to injury. But if you're the New York Jets, and this dude that looks like he belongs on The Bachelor, whose best decision-making, it appears, comes to when he's dating, which cannot be the same about his decision-making when it comes to football, because as a head coach, he wasn't winning on the collegiate level. And somehow, some way, you're a head coach in the National Football League. Oh, by the way, John, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it with 4 years? A 4-year deal with a 5th-year option. I mean, my God, I just don't know what to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really, really thinking about my future in this business. I'm JC, John, I work too hard. The hours that I put in, the work that I have to do, having brain farts and brain freezes because I work so much. I mean, I'm here trying to win. First Take is a huge success. Radio show's going well. What am I doing? Evidently, that's not the criteria. Let me go to where Michael Jackson went, lighten my hue, my pigmentation to such degree, lower my voice, have a mediocre record, make sure my girl is fly, and I too can become an NFL head coach. I mean, that's what we saying. That's what we saying. And then the Arizona Cardinals, with their pathetic selves, had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to try and troll me, of all people, on Twitter. Tried to troll me. You know somebody up there need to be drug tested. Evidently, you don't know. You don't know who the hell you messing with. I live for this. You gonna troll me? You hired a coach that's 5 games under 500, who don't have anything but his looks and the person he's dating going for him. Until you hired him as your head coach, and you gonna try to troll me? You done lost your ever-loving mind. Now, for those that are wondering what I'm talking about, let me do what the Arizona Cardinals evidently failed to do. Let me throw myself on the sword. A few weeks back, I went on the air and I had a brain freeze. Because while I was talking on the air, I was working on my laptop. I was previewing the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs games on Thursday Night Football in Kansas City, scheduled for that night. I was in D.C., I was working on a couple of NBA stories while I was also looking on my laptop reviewing last year's game at Arrowhead Stadium between the Chargers and the Chiefs. And I started talking about guys like Hunter Henry and others that had played in the game last year, alluding to right now, because I had a brain freeze and I was thinking about last year's contest instead of that. When you're multitasking and stuff like that, it happens. No excuse. That's on me. Got to be more thorough, and I slipped. Period. My mistake. Mea culpa. No doubt. Same thing that happened to me this morning when I did Steven's A-list, and I didn't even have Drew Brees in my top 5. Of course I wasn't thinking about Drew Brees, because to me, he's number 1. All I cared about with my list, because I was having fun, was making sure Nick Foles wasn't on it, because I'm tired of everybody leaning on the miracle man. Let's see what he does in New Orleans this weekend. But anyway, not to digress, the Arizona Cardinals with a K, y'all, by the way, not a C now. They put the K as in the Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals with a K, because it's Kingsbury country now. Decide to troll me about Hunter Henry and all of that other stuff. You got to be kidding me. Do you have any idea who you messing with? Bring it. I can't wait. Y'all pathetic selves. 3-13, didn't give Wilkes much talent to work with, used him as a scapegoat, firing him after 1 year, and then you didn't even have the decency to go out and hire somebody with a better resume. Now, having said all of that, my apologies to Mr. Kingsbury, because it's not his fault. I'm sure he works hard. I'm sure he knows football. I'm sure he knows a thing or two about quarterbacks, having worked with Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, and all of these guys. I understand. And I wish him nothing but the best. I don't have to do that to him personally, because your personal life seems to look wonderful. But the other side to all of this is that, in conference play under Cliff Kingsbury, look at it, 19-35, really? 19-35, giving up 39 points a game, nearly 500 yards a game in conference play, and a turnover differential of -30. I'm going to repeat that. Leave that up on the damn screen. You got an overall 35-40 record. In conference play, you're 16 games under 500. You gave up nearly 40 points a game, nearly 500 yards per game, and you were a -30 in turnover differential. This is the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And you got the nerve to preoccupy yourself with coming at me on Twitter? You should be drug tested right now. Right now. That's what you're selling to the state of Arizona. That's what you're selling. mean, you can't make this up. And this was the guy that was the number one candidate for the Jets. You thought, could you imagine, John, for 1 second, could y'all imagine America if this man had been hired by the New York Jets? This media, well, what I just read off to y'all, could you imagine if he had showed up at a press conference in New York City, under 5 games under 500, 16 games under 500 in conference play, surrendering 40 points a game, nearly 500 yards a game in conference play with a minus 30 turnover differential? Could you imagine if he had showed up in New York City to be the next head coach for the New York Jets? Do you know what would have happened to him? I mean, I thank God Cliff Kingsbury ain't in town. Because had he been here, I don't know what would have happened to him. I don't know. It's not his fault. I'm not pointing the finger at him. All I'm saying is your resume doesn't warrant you being a head coach in a National Football League. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. And that's who the New York Jets were thinking about. Him and Adam Gase. You can't make this up. You just can't make this up. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN New. Hour number 2, I'll have the head coach for the reigning national champions, Dabo Swinney. I wonder if anybody thought to offer him a job. I mean, don't you think? I mean, who would argue with Dabo being your coach? Right now, it's a legitimate argument. He's the best of the game. Cliff Kingsbury. And so you don't go that route. You go to Adam Gase, who plays within your division over the last 3 years. Ain't been to the playoffs the last 2. Ain't had a winning record the last 2. Pointed to injuries as the reason why. And that's who you selling New Yorkers on. Wow. Oh, by the way, did I mention 5 black head coaches were fired? Not a single black individual was replaced. All white guys, all got their head coaching jobs in the NFL. In the league, 70% black were players. Only 2 black head coaches, 1 black GM, no minority ownership. And the players are busy protesting the national anthem. Lord have mercy. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes, do you? You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screening questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed. Was this guy the hot ticket that everybody should be clamoring for? The man didn't even have a 500 record at Texas Tech. He got an offensive coordinator's job at USC, and before he had a chance to take a leak, this brother's got a head coaching job in the National Football League. How much time, John, did he actually spend at USC? What, a week? He didn't even have an opportunity to go to Roscoe's for chicken and waffles. I mean, what the hell is going on? And this guy is some candidate that you're clamoring for? Okay, he's photogenic. The ladies will love Mr. Kingsbury, Mr. Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, let's stop the presses right now. The ladies are going to be all over the place drooling over Cliff Kingsbury. He's photogenic. In some people's eyes, it looks like a model. In my personal opinion, he looks like he belongs on The Bachelor. Here's the problem. He looks like he belongs on The Bachelor more than he belongs on the sideline as a head coach for a National Football League team. You got to be kidding me. He coached Patrick Mahomes. He coached Case Keenum. He coached Johnny Manziel. Really? Really? When he was a head coach on a collegiate level, without them What'd he do? What'd he do? I mean, talk about a travesty of justice. I'm not trying to sit up there and tell you that he can't coach or he won't do a good job. Mr. Cliff Kingsbury, I apologize if that's how I'm coming across, because I don't mean to do that. That is not my intention. What I am saying is, there's not a resume here that warrants him becoming the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and you're the New York Jets, and you are actually fighting for him? Coach for the reigning defending national champion Clemson Tigers, Mr. Dabo Swinney. He will be on the show with yours truly. Can't wait to talk to him. Until then, let's get to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Joe. You're live with Joe in Queens. What's up? Talk to me.
What's going on, Steve?
I'm good. Talk to me. What's up?
So, I just wanted to talk on two things, Knicks basketball and the hiring of Adam Gase. I'm just starting with the football first. So, I noticed the other day you were giving slack about the Jets giving an eye to Mike McCarthy. And my thing is, who would you rather have between a Mike McCarthy or an Adam Gase?
Neither.
And then to compound that question is, I know you've been also mentioning that there's been firing of 5 African-American coaches. And those are Marvin Lewis, Vance Joseph, Todd Bowles, Hugh Jackson, and Steve Wilkes. You can't hire Steve Wilkes because he literally wet the entire bed in Arizona.
Well, stop right there. Stop right there, because I'm already annoyed by your call because you're disingenuous. I don't care that they were fired. I'm talking about who's been hired. I never said that folks didn't deserve to be fired. What I said is, where's the pipeline? You got all of these guys. Kingsbury, why didn't you call up and ask me about Kingsbury? How did he get the job? What did he do to deserve the job? How come you're not talking to me about Gase, who's lost the last 2 years in Miami, didn't make the postseason, didn't wow anybody with Ryan Tannehill or anybody else, and we're entrusting him to Sam Darnold? Why didn't you call me about that? I didn't say anything about Vic Fangio getting the Denver job. I didn't say anything about Bruce Arians getting the Tampa job.
Adam Gase had NFL experience going back to Detroit since 2008.
Don't give me NFL experience. I just told you what he did with the one thing that he did have in Miami. And I'm by the way, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a job. What I'm saying is the Jets hired somebody within the same division that's missed the playoffs over the last 2 years just like they did. What's so great about him?
There's nothing extravagant about Adam Gase.
Well, that's all I'm saying. So why are you wasting time? Why are you annoying me bringing him up? Why are you doing that when you can't even make an argument on his behalf? Why don't you pick another subject to be passionate about rather than something so obviously a waste of your time? Adam Gase is nothing to knock anybody's socks off about.
You're the GM of the Jets. Who are you hiring?
Well, what I'm saying to you is this. If you can find a Sean McVay or somebody like that, and I'm not saying literally because I know everybody's looking for that. My point to you is don't give me a Kingsbury who didn't succeed collegiately, and don't give me an Adam Gase who's blaming injuries for what they couldn't accomplish in Miami over the last 2 years. How about something in between? How about a Vic Fangio? How come you didn't pursue him?
Adam Gase did a great job over in Denver.
Goodbye. Go to hell. Bye. I'm not listening to that. He's just been a head coach in Miami for 3 years. And you're going to give me he did a great job in Denver? He's just been in your division in the AFC East over the last 3 years. And you're going to give me Denver? Don't call back here no more. Don't waste my time. Scott, go ahead. Scott in LA, what's up?
Hey, good morning, Steve. Very big fan of the show, even when I disagree with you.
I don't mind people disagreeing. Hold on, Scott. I don't mind people disagreeing, but getting back to my previous caller, don't piss me off. This is the Stephen A. Smith. This is the Stephen A. Smith show. I'm not talking to you right now for a second, Scott. Just hold on for 1 second. I'm talking to my audience here. I don't play. We're talking about a process that has been circumvented. We're talking about retreads of mediocrity. re-ingratiating themselves in the NFL. In Adam Gase's case or in Kingsbury's case, you don't even belong in the NFL as a head coach. Not yet. What's the criteria? I don't want to hear all of this stuff. I'm not letting it slide. What we try to do in the world of sports is get as close to a meritocracy as we can get. Because if you shred that in the world of sports, what do you have? We got enough politics going on in corporate America. Enough nepotism going on in corporate America. The NFL inserted a Rooney Rule because of stuff like this. And now you going back to that? Adam Gase, I'm sure he's going to be a head coach again in the National Football League. And he'll deserve it. But the Jets kicking out his door like, oh my God, we got to have him? Kingsbury at Texas Tech. 5 games under 500, and I read you the other numbers. He's a head coach in the National Football League? Really? Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Stephen. Thank you again. Listen, I just wanted to call because I'm an ethnic minority in this country, and I am disturbed. I watch a lot of sports radio. I listen to a lot of sports radio while I'm working, and I am disturbed by, white people or people who are not African American ignoring the clear and unabashed truth that there is a racism in football between the commissioner, the GMs, the owners, the coaches. This Rooney Rule has got to be
Stop right there. You went too far. When you consider the lieutenants and the officials that are of minority descent working in the National Football League office, that is unfair to paint that picture on Roger Goodell. He is the commissioner of the NFL. The Rooney Rule has been inserted. Okay, but it's up to these individual owners and the executives and the subordinates working under them to have more of a clear conscience about what's going on. I'm not going to put that on the league owners. I'm not going to put that on the league commissioner. I'm going to put that on league owners throughout the National Football League, clearly engaging in a level of behavior that's disturbing. And I got news for you, too. Here's something that nobody's brought up. But I don't give a damn. I'm going to bring it up. When President Donald Trump went off about how he'd fire all of those SOBs to the point where even Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys felt compelled to take a knee. You had NFL owners completely in panic mode, looking at Colin Kaepernick, looking at others, swearing how these protests had to stop, etc., etc., etc. And they did everything to distance themselves from the kind of things that some people, not all, but that some people were saying about the president. And I'm one of those people, even though I have no problem with Colin Kaepernick taking the position that he took. I also understand how other people would look at it, particularly in middle America. And I'm not judging anybody. What I would say to you, however, is something in the question form. Based on these hirings, based on the absence of a criteria that has clearly been allowed in this whole hiring process over the last couple of weeks, I'll ask a simple question. Tell me how some of these owners' behavior don't emulate or imitate exactly what they were lamenting about the president.
Well, listen, if you have a Rooney Rule in place and they're all kind of in cahoots with each other to just check the box that they're interviewing minority candidates, but there's no deterrent or any type of follow-up on the lack of hiring, and when they continue to change the rules of the game, I can't believe I'm admitting this or owning up to it, but I see it clearly. You first say we want to have African Americans as coordinators. That's going to be kind of the foundation of your bench to promote to be a head coach or a coach to a GM. And then all of a sudden, coordinators that get promoted and get fired never get rehired or very rarely get rehired. And now they've changed the rules again. And I'm not saying it's only Goodell or the owners. It's the whole system.
Well,
now they're going into college.
No. I got you, and I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. But it's been a problem in college. Here's the biggest issue, and this is something that I want to say that's very, very important. If the pool of black candidates existed from college into the pro game, okay, and in concert with that, qualified, clearly, undeniably qualified candidates who happen to be white were getting the head coaching jobs in the NFL, I wouldn't say a word. What we should be alarmed about is A, the absence of a pool for minority candidates to be in position to get these jobs, A, and B, that in concert with the unqualified candidates getting these jobs. Cliff Kingsbury is not qualified to be an NFL head coach. I'm telling you that because he might do a good job. I'm not telling you he's not going to do a good job. I'm talking about the process, and I want to apologize on national television to Cliff Kingsbury. I'm only using his name because he was the one hired yesterday. I'm only talking about his resume. You do not go under 500. You do not go under 500 and also have 16 games below 500 in conference play, giving up nearly 40 points a game, nearly 500 yards a game, being a minus 30 in a turnover differential. And just because you worked with quarterbacks like a Baker Mayfield or a Johnny Manziel or a Patrick Mahomes, that qualifies you to be a head coach in the National Football League, bypassing every criteria imaginable that has been applicable to damn near everybody else for decades. It's not right. If it were Marvin Lewis, if it was Steve Wilkes, if it were Todd Bowles or anybody else, I'd say the same damn thing. The criteria needs to be consistent. And it's not when it comes to the good young boys you want to hire. That is my issue. That should be all of our issue. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, with Vivid Seats app, it's easy to find awesome seats to any game. Download the app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order today. More of your calls in a minute before we get to Dabo Sweeney to start off hour number 2, so don't touch that dial.